If you follow the factory maintenance schedule, your car is already in danger. Their maintenance intervals aren't made to protect your car. They're designed to make ownership look cheaper during warranty years. But once that coverage ends, you're the one left holding a $6,000 repair bill. I'm about to expose 13 silent habits that are either wrecking your car right now or saving it if you do them right. And stick around till the very end because we'll reveal one old school trick that costs nothing, takes just 5 minutes, and could save you thousands in repairs. Let's kick things off with the most dangerous myth of all. Habit number 1. Don't follow the manufacturer's oil change intervals. On paper, it sounds like a dream. Only change your oil every 10,000 miles. Less hassle, fewer trips to the shop, lower costs. But here's the ugly truth. This advice is quietly killing engines every single day. Car manufacturers don't build maintenance schedules to protect your engine long term. They build them to look good in brochures. A longer interval makes ownership seem cheaper during the first few years, just long enough to survive the warranty period. After that, you're on your own. And by the time your engine starts burning oil or throwing codes, good luck getting any help from the dealer. Ask any experienced mechanic or fleet driver, and they'll all tell you the same thing. Every 5,000 miles or 6 months, full synthetic, no exceptions. Why? Because oil isn't magic. It breaks down, especially if you live in a hot climate, drive in traffic, tow trailers, or make a lot of short trips. Stick to the manual, and you might save 2 oil changes a year, but it could cost you a $4,000 engine rebuild. So, what's the right move? Simple. Treat oil changes like engine insurance. Stick to 5,000-mile intervals with high-quality synthetic oil and a good filter. And forget the marketing. Manufacturers want to sell new cars, not make them last. Habit number 2, change your transmission fluid. If the engine is the heart of your car, the transmission is the nervous system. And most drivers completely ignore it. No lights, no noises, no warning. Just one day it starts slipping. And by then, you're not fixing it, you're replacing it. Here's the trap. Transmission fluid looks fine until it isn't. Even after 60,000 miles, it might still be red, odorless, and seemingly clean. But inside, microscopic clutch particles, metal dust, and chemical varnish are swirling around, grinding your transmission's guts into scrap. It's like bathing your gears in liquid sandpaper. And most owners only realize something's wrong when it's already too late. A worn-out transmission doesn't gradually die. It fails fast and expensively. One shudder at highway speed, one hard shift, one delayed engagement, and boom, you're staring down a $3,000 to $5,000 bill. So what's the rule? Do a drain and fill every 60,000 miles or 6 years, not a full flush. Just a simple partial change with the correct OEM fluid. For hybrids, you might stretch it to 90,000 miles, but even that's pushing it. And if your transmission's already been neglected for over 100,000 miles, don't flush it. Flushing can dislodge built-up sludge that's actually keeping things together. In that case, a cautious drain and fill is safer. And never cheap out on the fluid. Use the exact fluid your car was designed for, not some universal jug from a gas station shelf. Saving $10 on fluid now could destroy a $4,000 transmission later. Habit number 3, flush your coolant every 5 years. Coolant is one of those fluids people assume lasts forever, until it eats your engine alive. Yes, even the fancy lifetime pink, blue, or orange stuff. After 5 years of brutal heat cycles, your long-life coolant turns acidic. And once that happens, it doesn't protect, it corrodes. The results can be catastrophic and completely invisible. Rotten water pumps, eaten seals, clogged heater cores, or worst of all, a blown head gasket. That's the $2,000 plus repair that starts with a little steam from the exhaust and ends with your car coughing up white smoke like a dying dragon. Still think coolant lasts 100,000 miles? Let me ask you this. Have you ever seen coolant loss with no puddles, a sweet smell from the vents, or random misfires that mechanics can't explain? That's your engine crying for help. What you can't see is the coolant slowly eating the inside of your block, your cylinder walls, and your gaskets. This is especially dangerous for modern engines with aluminum components. Once acidic coolant starts attacking aluminum, the damage spreads fast. Even hybrids and electric vehicles with electric water pumps aren't safe because the corrosion doesn't discriminate. So here's the golden rule. Flush your coolant every 5 years or 50,000 miles. Don't wait. Don't trust lifetime fluid, just flush it. Coolant is cheap. Gaskets and labor aren't. Let's talk about timing belts and why ignoring them could be the most expensive mistake you ever make. Habit number 4, replace the timing belt before it fails. Here's a hard truth. If your timing belt snaps while you're driving, your engine is done. No warning lights, no second chances, just the violent sound of pistons slamming into valves at 5,000 RPM, followed by silence, and a $3,000 to $6,000 repair bill. This small rubber-reinforced belt controls the most critical parts of your engine, the crankshaft and camshafts. If it breaks, everything goes out of sync in a fraction of a second. Here's the part no one tells you. Timing belts don't wear out slowly, they just fail. No squealing, no ticking. Maybe a small oil leak from the belt cover if you're lucky. But most of the time, they just snap. One moment you're cruising, the next, you're on the side of the road with a totaled engine. So what's the magic number? Replace your timing belt every 60,000 to 100,000 miles, or every 7 to 10 years, whichever comes first. Even if you barely drive, time alone breaks it down. Heat, oil vapors, and age slowly degrade the rubber and tensioners. And if your car uses a timing chain instead, don't relax. Chains can stretch or fail too, especially in neglected engines. Pro tip: when you do the belt, replace the water pump, tensioner, and pulleys too. They're in the same location, and if one fails later, you're paying labor all over again. Do it right the first time. Your future self will thank you. And while we're under the hood, there's another small part that gets ignored way too often. But when it wears out, it costs you performance, fuel economy, and thousands in preventable repairs. Habit number 5, keep your spark plugs fresh. Spark plugs don't seem like a big deal until your engine starts shaking, chugging gas, and losing power like it just woke up with a hangover. One failing plug can throw off the entire combustion process. Multiply that across 4, 6, or 8 cylinders, and you've got a symphony of misfires, fuel waste, and expensive engine strain. Here's what most people don't realize. Worn spark plugs can reduce your fuel efficiency by up to 30%. That's not a typo. 30%. That's the difference between 30 miles per gallon and 21, every single mile. And the symptoms? You might feel a rough idle, hear your engine crank slower, or notice a loss of acceleration. Maybe your check engine light flashes on briefly then disappears. But under the surface, that spark gap is widening, cylinder pressure is dropping, and fuel is being burned at the wrong time. Let it go too long and you'll start smelling raw gas from the tailpipe. Or worse, you'll pull a plug and see oil or coolant on the tip. That's no longer just a spark plug problem. That's a valve cover leak, or maybe even a failing head gasket. So when should you replace them? Most modern iridium plugs last 60 to 100,000 miles, while older copper ones need swapping around 30 to 50,000. But don't wait for a misfire to remind you. Check your manual, check your mileage, and stay ahead of the problem. And here's one more tip. Always check your ignition coils when replacing plugs. If one's weak or cracked, replace it. Because a new spark plug with a dying coil is like putting a fresh battery in a corroded flashlight. Habit number 6, replace your fuel filter. Every time you fill your tank, tiny particles of dirt, rust, and debris sneak in. You don't see them, but your fuel filter does. Its job to catch all that microscopic junk before it hits your fuel injectors. But here's the problem. Most drivers forget it exists until the fuel pump chokes and dies trying to push gas through a filter that's basically a sponge full of sludge. A $40 part can save you from a $1,000 disaster. Sounds simple, right? Yet people can drive 80,000 or even 100,000 miles on the same clogged filter. And by then, the fuel pump is overheating, overworking, and one hard acceleration away from giving up entirely. So what should you do? Replace your fuel filter every 30 to 60,000 miles depending on your car. Older models usually require changes sooner, closer to 30,000. Newer cars with in-tank filters can stretch to 100,000, but those are harder and more expensive to service. Pro tip, always relieve the fuel pressure before replacing the filter. Just pull the fuel pump fuse and run the engine until it stalls. That way, you don't end up wearing half a tank of gas on your shirt. And while you're down there, work in a well-ventilated area. Habit number 7, flush your brake fluid every 2 to 3 years. Your brakes might feel fine right now. Firm pedal, good stopping power, no warning lights. But deep inside your brake lines, there's a silent killer at work: moisture. Brake fluid is hygroscopic, meaning it absorbs water from the air. Even inside a sealed system, that water slowly creeps in over time. After 2 to 3 years, your fluid might be holding so much moisture that its boiling point has dropped by over 100 degrees Fahrenheit. And that's when the real danger starts. Imagine this. You're driving in traffic, tapping your brakes again and again. They get hot. Suddenly, the fluid inside boils, turning to vapor, air bubbles form. And now, your brake pedal feels soft. Or worse, it goes straight to the floor. No pressure, no brakes, just panic. Most dairy fluid starts with a boiling point around 401 degrees Fahrenheit and .4 around 446 degrees Fahrenheit. But once that fluid absorbs enough moisture, it can drop to below 284 degrees Fahrenheit. And that's well within reach during stop-and-go traffic or mountain driving. And here's the kicker. Your brake fluid can look totally fine, still clear, still golden, but contaminated beyond function. So what should you do? Flush your brake fluid every 2 to 3 years, no matter what. It's a cheap, fast service that most people skip until it's too late. Want to check it yourself? Pick up a $20 brake fluid tester. Just dip it, press the button, and it instantly reads the moisture content. If it's above 3%, flush it immediately. Don't guess. Don't wait. Habit number 8, service your differential and transfer case. Let's be honest, most drivers have never even heard of a differential or a transfer case. And yet these are the parts responsible for transferring power from your engine to the wheels. When they fail, your car doesn't move, period. The differential handles how your wheels spin at different speeds when you turn. The transfer case on four-wheel drive or all-wheel drive vehicles splits engine power between the front and rear axles. Both are filled with heavy-duty gear oil, and that oil breaks down over time, just like engine oil does. Here's the problem. There are no dashboard lights, no obvious signs, no reminders. You don't feel the gears grinding until they're already chewed to pieces. And once that happens, you're looking at $2,000 plus in repairs and a car that can't go anywhere on its own power. So how often should you change these fluids? For most vehicles, the rule is simple. Every 30,000 to 50,000 miles. More frequently if you tow, drive in snow, or have oversized tires. Here's a quick breakdown of how it's done. Locate the differential or transfer case, typically a metal housing on the axle or beneath the center of the vehicle. Remove the fill plug first. Never remove drain plug before it. Trust me. Then remove the drain plug and let the old fluid pour out. Reinstall the drain plug and pump in new fluid until it starts to seep out of the fill hole. Tighten everything back up and you're good for another 50,000 miles. Pro tip, use only manufacturer-recommended gear oil. Each system is designed for a specific viscosity and additive package. Don't risk it with generic gear lube. If you've never changed this fluid before, have a mechanic supervise the first time. It's not complicated, but cross-thread a plug or use the wrong fluid and you're in for a world of hurt. Most owners skip this habit because everything feels fine, but drivetrain damage doesn't give warnings. It just shows up with a sudden grind and a massive bill. Habit number 9, clean your mass airflow sensor. Your engine runs on a perfect balance of air and fuel. But what happens when the sensor that measures that air gets dirty? Simple. The engine guesses, and it usually guesses wrong. That sensor is called the MAF, mass airflow sensor. It sits quietly just after your air filter, measuring how much air is flowing into the engine so the computer can deliver the right amount of fuel. But over time, oil vapor, dust, and grime coat its delicate wires, and the readings go haywire. The symptoms? Hesitation when accelerating, rough idle, sluggish throttle, or poor MPG. And sometimes, it just stalls out at red lights, leaving you confused and stuck. Even worse, a dirty sensor can trigger false codes. So here's the fix, and it takes 10 minutes. Locate your MAF sensor. It's usually mounted on or near the air intake tube, close to the air filter box. Disconnect the electrical connector carefully. Remove the sensor. Spray the sensing wires thoroughly using only MAF sensor cleaner. No brake cleaner, no carb cleaner, no WD-40. These will destroy the sensor. Let it air dry completely before reinstalling. Reconnect everything, start the engine, and feel the difference. This tiny part controls how much fuel your engine burns. And when it's dirty, you'll pay for it every time you fill up. Now that we've talked air, let's talk pressure, specifically inside your engine. Habit number 10, replace your PCV valve. There's a quiet little valve hidden near the top of your engine. It costs about 15 bucks, and when it goes bad, it can wreck your seals, spike your oil usage, and lead to mysterious engine problems no one can diagnose. It's called the PCV valve, positive crankcase ventilation. Its job? To relieve pressure inside the engine caused by combustion gases slipping past the piston rings. Instead of letting that pressure build up, the PCV valve routes it back into the intake to be safely burned. But when the valve gets stuck or clogs entirely, that pressure has nowhere to go. It builds and builds until something gives. That something is usually your valve cover gasket, rear main seal, or worse, your engine starts burning oil like crazy. But here's the good news. Replacing the PCV valve is cheap and easy. Most manufacturers recommend swapping it every 30,000 to 50,000 miles. Here's how to do it. Locate the valve, often near the valve cover or oil filler cap, with a hose leading to the intake. Twist or pull it out, depending on your setup. Shake it. If it rattles freely, it's probably still good. If it's sticky or silent, replace it. Insert the new valve and make sure to inspect or replace the PCV hose if it's brittle or cracked. Total cost? Maybe $20? Total savings? Potentially thousands in oil-related damage and gasket replacement. It's one of those parts that's never talked about until it fails. Next up, we shift from what's under the hood to your tires. Habit number 11. Get a tire alignment. Here's a stat most drivers don't want to hear. 35% of Americans admit they've delayed a wheel alignment, even after noticing a problem. And while it might seem harmless at first, skipping alignment quietly destroys your tires, hurts your MPG, and makes your steering unpredictable. So what is alignment exactly? It's not just about keeping your steering wheel straight. It's about adjusting the angles of your suspension, toe, camber, and caster to ensure your tires sit perfectly on the road. When those angles are off by even a degree, your tires wear unevenly. You might see the inner edge bald while the outer edge looks fine, or vice versa. That's toe in and toe out, and it's like sanding down your tires from one side 24/7 while you drive. Here's what to look for. Your car pulls to one side when driving straight. The steering wheel feels off-center. You notice uneven tire wear patterns, or worse, you feel a slight vibration at speed. And here's the real cost. A proper alignment costs $75 to $100, but a new set of tires, $600 to $1,200. Do the math, delay your alignment, and you're burning through rubber and cash for no reason. So, how often should you check it? Every 15,000 miles, or anytime you hit a big pothole, curb, or have suspension work done. And always double check after replacing tires. New rubber on a bad alignment just means you'll ruin that new set even faster. Habit number 12, avoid cold revving. Start your engine, hear that satisfying purr, and give it a quick rev. Sounds harmless, right? That innocent sounding rev could be shaving years off your engine's life, especially if you do it before the oil has a chance to circulate. Here's why cold revving is a silent killer. When your engine is cold, oil has settled at the bottom of the pan and thickened up. It takes time for oil to circulate through all the tiny passageways, coating your pistons, crankshaft, camshafts, and bearings. And for turbocharged engines, it's even worse. 90% of premature turbo failures are linked to poor oil habits, and cold revving tops the list. The turbo spins at over 100,000 RPM, and without oil, it's basically a hand grenade waiting to go off. So what's the right move? Start your car, let it idle for 30 to 60 seconds, just enough time for oil pressure to build and circulate. Then drive gently. Keep RPMs under 3,000 until the engine reaches normal operating temperature. Pro tip, idling too long doesn't help either. It just wastes fuel. You're not warming the engine efficiently unless it's under light load. So idle briefly, then ease into your drive. Habit number 13, wash your undercarriage every season. You wash the outside of your car to keep it looking good. But do you wash underneath? Because what you can't see is quietly eating your car alive. Road salt, grime, mud, and winter slush build up fast on your undercarriage. And they're not just dirty, they're destructive. Salt, in particular, is a rust accelerator. It clings to your frame, brake lines, suspension arms, exhaust pipes, all the stuff that holds your car together. And the scary part? Rust doesn't start as a hole, but eventually you go in for a routine repair, and the mechanic says, "We can't do anything. The frame's rusted through." So here's the habit that separates car owners from car lovers. Wash your undercarriage at least once per season. And in snowy regions, do it monthly during winter. Live near the coast? Same rules apply. Salt, air, and sand are just as corrosive. Most self-serve car washes have an undercarriage spray, but even a regular garden hose and a pressure nozzle can help if you do it right. Focus on the wheel wells behind the bumpers, around the suspension, and especially any exposed weld seams or bolts. Bonus tip. After washing, take your car for a short drive to help everything dry out. Water that lingers in tight spots can still invite rust if it's left sitting. Now that we've covered all 13 critical habits, it's time for one final tip. It's simple, it's free, and it could save you thousands in repairs, frustration, and resale value. Let's talk about the logbook habit and why smart car owners never rely on memory alone. Ask any veteran mechanic, car enthusiast, or smart fleet owner what separates a car that lasts 150,000 miles from one that sails past 300,000. And you'll hear one simple habit. They write everything down. Oil change? Write it down. Tire rotation, brake pads, spark plugs, coolant flush, air filter, alignment. Log it all. Mileage, date, brand of parts, even your personal notes. Why? Because cars talk over time, and a good logbook helps you listen. Start seeing oil loss every 1,000 miles? That's a pattern. Tires wearing unevenly after 5,000 miles? Maybe your alignment is off again. Check engine light always reappearing after the same service? Could be related to what was done. These aren't just notes, they're breadcrumbs. They help you spot problems before they become expensive. They help your mechanic trust you. And when it's time to sell, a well-kept maintenance log builds buyer confidence, often increasing resale value. And here's the best part. You don't need an app, a spreadsheet, or anything fancy. A $2 notebook in your glove box does the job just fine. Want to go digital? Great. Just make sure you're consistent. Now that you've got the 13 essential habits to make your car last 300,000 miles or more, you're already ahead of most drivers on the road. Hit like button and subscribe, and we'll show you how to outsmart the breakdowns before they ever happen.